What's going on YouTube? Today we're going to be doing a video on the RTX 3080 graphics card and a Ryzen 7 5800X processor on some of the most popular games that are out right now. So the point in this video is not to go really deep into like the technical aspects of everything and run like crazy benchmark tests. I just want to show you guys what you guys can expect having a build similar to mine or even pairing these two things together. All right, so to start off with, I'm going to go ahead and share my specs that I have. That way you can kind of compare and contrast that. I'm also going to leave a link in the description below if there's anything that you guys are interested in buying that I have. So to start off with, obviously there's the 3080 graphics card and the Ryzen 7 5800X processor. Then I have that paired with 32 gigs of 3200 megahertz Corsair RGB RAM. All right, so I wanted to start off with a little bit of background. I bought a 3080 and I was using a Ryzen 2700X processor, so it was a couple generations old. And my graphics card was only pulling like 100 frames on Warzone on 1440. So I knew something was wrong. So my point of telling you that is that if you do have a processor similar to that and you think that you're going to get a 3080 and you're going to pull high frames, it's just not going to cut it. And that's something that I didn't know upon buying the graphics card, and it would have saved me a lot of time and effort trying to figure out why the heck I was only pulling 100 frames on Warzone when I knew people that had, you know, similar specs and were pulling upwards of 180 or 200. So a little background, we're going to be running everything on 1440p. And we're going to be running everything on higher ultra settings for the most part, maybe turn shadows down a little bit. From my experience, everything seems to run a little bit better on more intense graphics for whatever reason. All right, so here we go. We're going to get started. We're going to start off with Cyberpunk, and we're going to be trying the ray tracing feature on 1440 to see what kind of frames that happens to have as well. All right, guys, so here's a list of the specs that I have so far. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you what I use. I pretty much left everything on or at high frames running what I'm running now. The only thing I really turned off is going to be motion blur, and for the first example, we're going to run this game without RTX and see how it does. Okay, so now that we are in game, you guys can see that I'm running about 100 frames per second at the moment. I'm just in the middle of a side mission that I was running around doing, so just running around the area really fast and, you know, going to show you what the landscape looks like. So you can see that it's very fluent. It feels great running through. Obviously, I'm running it over 100 frames. And this is just during the city, but I mean, there's still a lot going on. So I think loading it at this pace still is like feeling very good.
Let me go.
My car now. Okay, so the reason I'm choosing to include this little cutscene is so you can kind of see what these little in-game interactions are like, especially if you have a similar build or you're just wanting to see what kind of frames you're going to get on the regular.
I talked about you a lot. Always saying how much you meant to it.
All right, so at this point, we're going to go ahead and turn on some ray tracing just for you to kind of see how that affects the way the character looks and moves while we're in this setting. All right, and everything is cranked up to the max. We'll go psycho with the ray trace lighting.
Here, that's more important.
And you can see that dropped me about 30 to 40 frames at the moment. Right, now we'll go ahead and switch ray tracing back off again. And that puts us right back up to about 100. All right, so now that we're here, I think this is going to be a really good place to see what kind of things happen inside of this bar with all the lights and stuff. So we're going to go ahead and turn RTX back on. As you can see, you know, the light kind of looks insane, a little bit different. And we've dropped down to about 55 frames on everything maxed out on 1440 with all these people inside and something, you know, like this.
Hey, it's good you're here. We're about to start. Sit down, please.
I think this is a neat little cutscene because there's so many colors and there's so many different things going on. So it's interesting to see that it's still pulling just about 60 frames inside of here.
I thank you all for coming today.
All right, and we'll take the opportunity to go ahead and turn off RTX and see what kind of graphics we're getting in here.
I'm not going
Okay,
to
so
tell
still
you
about
what kind of
100.
man my son was, or lament about how much I miss him. Instead,
So it looks like general consensus is that we're getting about 100 average with everything cranked up, no RTX, and about 50 to 60 with RTX all the way up.
Jackie was in the Valentinos.
Okay, and now I'm going to show you guys some combat. I'm going to be going into combat with RTX off, and about a few seconds into the fight, I'm going to turn RTX on so we can kind of compare and contrast the frames we're going to get in a fight scene. All right, so approaching, we're at about 82 frames. I'm just going to go ahead and throw a couple nades over there and go get that ass. Oh, yeah. Oh, they're mad. Okay, we're going to go ahead and turn RTX on now. All right, now it looks like we're still about the same over here. And I do not have enough RAM. Oh, no. So, yeah, it looks like we're getting about the same frames as we are in cutscenes, which is really nice that it's staying fluent. All right, and we're going to switch back one more time with no RTX. And I'm getting about 80 to 100 frames. Looks like I picked a fight with the wrong robots. These things are super strong. Very hard fight to win. All right, cool. So now that we've seen what you get in game and with combat with RTX on and off, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to another game now. This game is going to be Call of Duty Cold War. I'm just going to go ahead and do it inside a multiplayer. We'll do like part of the match with RTX on and part of the match with RTX off. All right, guys. So now we're going to go ahead and switch over to Black Ops Cold War, and I'm going to be showing you the multiplayer aspect of this and show you what you're going to be getting. So as you can see, I'm playing 2560 by 1440, and I have my field of view here, and I have pretty much everything cranked up to the max. I have RTX on right now, but I'm going to go ahead and turn RTX off entirely. All right, so now that RTX is completely turned off, in the middle of the match, I'm going to turn RTX back on so we can see what the frame differential is between it. All right, so we're loading into Nuketown 84 Holiday Hardpoint. All right, so with no RTX on, it looks like we're getting about 120 average FPS. And that's with everything completely cranked up to the max on this game. Dude, this M4 melts in every game. Oh. So it looks like about 120 is about average with everything completely cranked and my field of view up and all of that. Also, keep in mind that I'm recording on OBS as well, so that might have a little bit of impact on my frames, but probably not much. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and switch the RTX on and see what kind of frames we're getting with that. I'm going to go ultra on everything. Although I don't know why you would want ray tracing on when you're playing Call of Duty multiplayer, I still think it'd be important to see what it actually does. All right, so it looks like we're rocking about 60 to 70 frames with everything cranked up and RTX to the absolute max on multiplayer. I definitely feel as much choppier. Even with the frames being down, the RTX on multiplayer doesn't really feel that good, to be honest. Alrighty, so now we're going to start on Warzone, and I'm going to show you guys my settings that I use on Warzone. I'm going to go through this one a little bit more in depth because I know a lot of people play Warzone, so I'm going to actually scroll down and let you guys see everything that I use. You can obviously pause the video or go back if you want to, but I'm just going to run through these really quick, and I'm going to have RTX off for Warzone. Again, with this type of game, I don't know why you'd want RTX on, but if you do, we're going to try it so you can see what kind of frames it's going to give you and how it affects the gameplay. Cool. So as you can see, everything is basically on ultra or high. I did turn the shadow resolutions down. I think that just happens to help a little bit, obviously, for any game that you play. So let's go ahead and get into it. Cool. So now that we're all dropped in, you guys can kind of see what we're getting on the map right now. This is obviously I'm recording through OBS, but you can see that I'm getting about 130 frames while recording this YouTube video. So it'd probably go up a little bit. Warzone's one of those games that I've noticed that I get much lower frames on than anything else, and I don't know why. I know I have some people that use Intel processors, and they're getting upwards of 180 or 190, but this is what we're getting right now. You know we're already going to drop Superstore because we have big peen energy out here. Battle Royale. So even on the battle plane, you can see that we're still rocking 135 while recording. When I stream, this is typically about the frames I get as well. And when I play offline, I get a little bit more. So that's one thing to keep in mind. When I'm playing offline, I typically get like 160 to 170. I also wanted to get a chance to show you guys the combat and everything else. Now that I'm actually down and running around inside of Superstore, you guys can kind of see how I'm dropping frames. I'm getting about 100 to 110 while I'm running around in here and there's stuff going on. Shit done! Oh shit! Okay, so now we're in the Gulag, and I'm going to show you guys what kind of frames you can expect in the Gulag, obviously.
Daunting your enemy is an effective way to get inside their heads. So is a well-placed rocket. Pay attention.
I love the way the new Gulag looks. It's so much better.
Get ready. Win here and you return to the front line. You lose, your fight is over.
I think it'll also be important to note the combat frames that I'm getting in here. I'm also getting 129. It looks like it's bouncing back between that and 150.
We're sending you back to base.
Man, I'm terrible.
It's a loss. Failure is a
Okay, now that we've landed and we're in our next game, I'm going to show you guys what it's like with RTX on. So as you can see on Warzone, with RTX on, it's actually not a huge change as it was in like Cyberpunk or even Cold War. It's not really affecting the frames that much. So landing, coming down in combat. Oh, that's a DMR. It's even just flying around and being in combat. We're rocking around 115 to 120 while I'm recording on OBS with my computer. All right, so now we're going to see what it's like when we're on the plane and then when we drop and go into Superstore, which is a really crowded area typically. All right, so while flying through the air, we're at about 110 frames versus like the 130 we were playing with RTX off.
into the area.
Dude was on my booty. He was on my booty.
You're in the Gulag now. Fight to earn redeployment.
Okay, so in the Gulag, we're getting about 140.
Return to the front line. You lose, your fight is over. It's time. Lost the fight. Return to base. Learn from the loss.
Okay, cool. So now you guys kind of saw the differential between having RTX on and having RTX off. With RTX, we're getting about 110 to 120 about average. And with RTX turned off, we're getting about 130 to 140 while I'm recording on my PC at the same time. So we're going to go ahead and switch to Fortnite now and show you the frames that you're going to get on Fortnite with these combinations. So if you made it this far in the video, this will be our last game that we're testing out on these benchmarks. We're going to be playing Fortnite and testing out some of the settings on here. Typically, I run Fortnite with everything completely turned off, but for the purposes of this video, I'm going to go ahead and turn everything to Epic. So right now, with everything completely set to Epic, I'm getting about 150 frames to 180 frames. All right, so on the battle bus, we're getting about 125 frames to 140 in between. Flying through the air, we are getting about 60 to 100, it looks like. All right, so it looks like about 145 to 150 is about average of what I'm looking at right now. All right, we're gonna go ahead and turn the settings all the way off, except for view distance. And now you can see I'm completely over 250. I don't have any shields. This is not good. I don't know what this weenie's doing. Oh! He's nuts. He's nuts. Nothing I can do about that, huh? All right, so that'll conclude this video. I hope that this was super helpful when you guys are going to make a decision on what kind of graphics card you're going to buy, as well as a processor, or even pairing them together. If you guys enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. It really helps me grow and hit the algorithm on YouTube. I'll be making some more gameplay videos along with helpful stuff along the way. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have a great day.